excited for you to be here. There's a lot of conversations about when to reopen our churches. So let me start by just saying a couple of things here. One, as some of you may be aware, that I was recently appointed to the Governor's Advisory Council on reopening churches and synagogues and mosques across New York State, not just across New York City, but across New York State. Now, upstate New York is very different than downstate New York. Some rural church or synagogue or mosque may look very differently in terms of the size, in terms of the participants, in terms of the availability of rooms and square footage and all of those things. And so everyone will have to make their own decision in terms of when they want to reopen their buildings. I'm also grateful for our regional leadership, Bishop Dr. Leroy Greenaway, who has also forwarded, I believe in the last 24 hours or so, some guidelines as to things that churches should be considering if they decide to go ahead and reopen. I think the general consensus, though, is that pastoring a church in the epicenter of the pandemic really should and requires that we are extraordinarily thoughtful and careful about reopening our churches prematurely. So here's what I do know. I do know that Family Worship Center is strong. I do know that we continue to reach out to you. I do know that the ministers and leaders and laity indeed of this local church continues to do amazing work in reaching out to the community. I also know that our outreach programs continue to serve more people than we ever have. I get calls every week with people requesting and emails and Facebook inquiries about when will we be giving out food. And I could tell you that our staff, they're here and they're working every week, several times a week, doing the work. I also know that the services, we are more eclectic and diverse in our service delivery now more than ever before. We've had more guest speakers than we've had in a very long time. We've had more in our Bible studies attendance than we've had in a long time. Our Bible studies are hitting 1,000, 2,000 reaches, and people log on and they stay on, and they also go back and they watch as well. We also know that our Sunday morning services, that they're reaching a tremendous amount of people. And by virtue of those things and the fact that this local church is it is a small church with small space, and so we're always crammed for space. Having said that, as a pastor of this church, it is not practical, nor is it wise for me to say that we are going to reopen these doors for people to come in here and worship. The church is open. The building is closed. The church is open, but the building is closed. And so we will continue to deliver services exactly the way we have been doing over the last 2 months or more. We also know that the President of the United States has rendered churches an essential business or an essential workers. We have always known that you are essential. We've always known that you are essential. We do not need some legislative or some executive mandate or order to tell us that we are essential. Here's the bottom line, my brothers and sisters. If reopening these doors put one of the elderly members of this church at risk, if reopening these doors put one member of Family Worship Center who has some underlying medical conditions, if reopening these doors will cause one member of this local church to die, to go on ventilators, then I will absolutely, nor will the leadership of this local church support doing anything like that. And so here is our position. We will continue to serve you in a remote world. We'll continue to have our early morning prayer meetings, our Bible studies, our midday prayer studies, our phone calls we're checking into with our members. We'll continue to do all of those pieces as we continue to serve you. Your safety is of primal importance to us, and as such, you can rest assured that when the time is right, when the movie theaters have been reopened, when the stores have been reopened, when the pandemic is flattened completely, and it is safe to return to worshiping in a physical structure, I will be the first to be marching forward to say, let's do it. And so in the meantime, I invite you to, and I ask of you to please let us stand together. I ask for you during this time to let us be faithful to one another and to the Lord, and let us continue to serve as the Lord has called us to serve. Family Worship Center, whether 10 or 12 or 15 members, will not be reopening this church for our members and friends who have underlying medical conditions to come and be exposed to the coronavirus or COVID-19. So this is an official word from Family Worship Center to our brothers and sisters. We got you, and you got us, and we'll take care of each other like we've always done in the last 19 years of this local church. We'll continue to serve with distinction. We'll continue to distribute whatever support we can offer, but it will be done in a way that is safe, in a way that is thoughtful, in a way that keeps you safe. I am in no rush to get anyone exposed. I'm in no rush to see anyone suffer to this terrible and virulent disease. So that's it on that.